Alright, so I was going to make this video yesterday, and I tried to do it on my phone to have better quality and better sound, but I, for some reason, have been really struggling with getting it uploaded that way. I think it has to do with the internet here. I don't have very good internet where I live. It's a drawback of living where I live. So I'm just going to remake this video now, but that's why it wasn't up yesterday, because I spent all day trying to get it to work. So I'm sorry for that. I will have a mic here shortly. We'll see here soon, maybe the next video or maybe a little bit after that. I don't know. So that'll be a plus. But I just wanted to get this video out there because I've been trying to get it out there for like over 24 hours now. So I'm just going to get right into it. So this is going to be a review of. This is going to be my first pull list review of the Rebirth issues that have come out. I did a review of Justice League 51, Superman 50, and Rebirth, just DC Comics Rebirth, written by Jeff Johns. I did that last week. Now this week they are releasing the single issues to each character under the Rebirth title. They're just doing one of these for each character. They're kind of a jumping on point for people. As much as people were really worried about, where to start with the first Rebirth and how it was very confusing, I really understand that too. It really wasn't a jumping on point. It's really a continuation of something else. But these, in a way, are a little better. These are kind of going to, if you have a character you're interested in, this is a good place to start. You're still going to be confused because they're going to be introducing characters, but it's going to set up the next arc, basically, or the first arc within the Rebirth universe line, whatever you want to call it. So these are coming out for the next couple weeks, along with the actual number ones that are going to be coming out. So these are technically, it's really confusing, because, like, say, this one's Superman Rebirth number 1, but they're not doing a Superman Rebirth number 2. It's just going to be Superman number 1, which there's a lot. Sorry about that. Still having technical issues with this movie maker piece of crap. But what I was saying is, they're not going to have a Superman Rebirth issue 2. They're just going to have a, this and then the next Superman. But yeah, so I'm going to start with this one. This is the first one I read. So yeah, this is Superman Rebirth number 1, written by Peter J. Tomasi. Is that how you say it? This is going to be, I think this is the writing team for Superman, if I'm correct. And I think Action Comics is going to be the Dan Jurgens. So basically this, if you've been reading Rebirth or any of the Superman stories before this, this basically is just continuing that. So I'm going to have a few spoilers here if you haven't read anything before this, but, it's been going on for a while. So basically, post-Infinite Crisis Superman, who's been around since the 80s with John Byrne's Man of Steel, he has come back. He was technically in the New 52 universe, but he now is going to be taking over Superman because in the last Superman issue, the New 52 Superman died. In the last arc there. So this takes place after that. Clark has gone. Well, it actually starts out with Lana, basically trying to break into the New 52 Superman's tomb, which is the same thing Clark is trying to do. And he has this black suit that's very reminiscent of when he came back himself from the dead. And there's this, him and Lois have basically been thinking about how there's a chance that the New 52 Superman may come back, because a lot of history has been repeating itself from his universe, and he died and he got resurrected after he died battling Doomsday. So he has a firm belief this may happen because everything else has been happening too. And so he's going to try to basically break in and take the remains of New 52 Superman and keep them protected, so he knows, that he'll be guaranteed to be revived. Well, Lana's there too, and she promised New 52 Superman that he wanted to be buried in Smallville, so she wants to take his remains there. Well, this is the first time post-crisis Clark has run into this Lana, and she first, thinks he is the New 52 Superman, and he explains himself and he tells her everything, and they kind of team up. So we start out with after them talking, he tells Lana about his death. So we get some really cool flashbacks to Superman fighting Doomsday here. From the Death of Superman arc, a couple panels showing him fighting. It's really cool to see a modern look at the death of Superman. So that's really kind of cool. And we see the mullet Superman as well. That's one of my favorite shots right there, is the mullet Superman. So he's basically explaining his life. So she agrees. He wants to take the remains to the Fortress of Solitude, but he doesn't know where it is, and Lana does. And she doesn't really explain. She just says ever since he died, she just knows. And that might be something that happened before this that I didn't read, or it may be something that's to come that we'll find out. But they end up finding the Fortress of Solitude, and Superman Clark wants to find the rebirthing matrix, or whatever it was that brought him back in the convoluted way in the 90s, which, if you ask a lot of people, how did Superman come back exactly? No one really knows unless they read that entire arc and studied it, which is funny. But he basically is looking for this rebirthing matrix, and he has, the robots in the Fortress of Solitude search for it, and they can't find it. So this is a good hint that maybe history isn't repeating itself as much as he thinks. We'll just have to find out. I have a feeling this Superman may return in some form or fashion at some point. It's comic books. But as of right now, it's basically giving him an excuse to become the real Superman. That's really what is making him decide that he needs to do something about it. So they take his remains and they bury them in Smallville. And there's a nice little touching moment there, and there's also a touching moment where Clark finds the shrine to his parents, and you find out that the New 52 Superman made a shrine for his Kryptonian parents and for his parents on Kansas, which he was really surprised about. And so he carves his own statue of New 52 Superman in between his parents from Earth, which is very interesting. So this is basically just setting up for him becoming the real Superman. So I'm excited for this. This was a lot of fun. I love the relationship with Clark and Lana. It was actually a lot better than I expected. It doesn't really answer much. It just really is kind of tying everything together a little bit more. So when we get started with the actual series, we won't have as many questions. We won't know why he just randomly decided to become Superman again. So that was good. Next we have Batman Rebirth. This was King and Snyder. King's going to be taking over the book. Snyder, this is his last collaboration on the Batman title for a while, I would assume, maybe at all. It's basically the passing of the torch for them. This one is basically, these are all just, tie-in issues, things that are just leading to what's to come. But this one's kind of interesting. It's a pretty big Calendar Man story. One of the first pages is Batman fighting Calendar Man, and so we see that. And the art's really good here. Mikel Janin, I've never heard of them, but they were I like the art a lot. And basically, this is just a small little issue with Batman dealing with Calendar Man, kind of getting more into Calendar Man's backstory. Not really his backstory, but just who he is and what he does. We have some pretty interesting imagery in this with Bruce talking to Lucius on top of, I would assume, Wayne Tower or one of his towers he owns. And he's doing pull-ups on a helicopter pad hanging off the side of a building. And that's kind of cool. But Lucius is basically, at some point I would have assumed he lost some of his money, and Lucius is basically telling him the legal mumbo jumbo about how he'll get his fortune back and his company. I stopped reading New 52 Batman after Zero Year, which I picked up in trade, and that's where I stopped picking up the trades too. I just got behind, and I didn't really. All right. What I was saying is, I just got really behind in the Batman Scott Snyder Rebirth Pull run. I did like it, but it was a lot of story and a lot of big arcs that, it takes a lot to invest in that. But what they're basically explaining is also a character, Duke, who was introduced in Zero Year, who I remember. Apparently, he went off to become a big partner for Bruce, especially during the Endgame story arc. He was kind of an unofficial Robin. But he's come back to meet up with Bruce. And Bruce is explaining Calendar Man, because Calendar Man is getting older. And Duke asks why, and he basically says Calendar Man ages as the seasons progress. And when he eventually will die and then be reborn out of his old skin, like he'll molt and become a younger version of himself, which is very interesting and creepy as all hell to think about. The one thing I have a complaint about with this book is the story with Calendar Man. What he's trying to do is a little confusing. Has to do with this chemical he's releasing that changes the seasons at the wrong times. I'm not a very smart person, so I'm sure it was easy for people to understand who really paid attention to it, but for me, it was a little confusing. I did get the majority of what he was trying to do. So the other big thing in this is Batman gives Duke his own costume, which basically means that he will not be a Robin, but he will be his partner probably throughout these story arcs coming up. And so it's kind of just this finishing, after they talk about that, it's just finishing up this Calendar Man thing. And they're training, but the creepiest part of this book is where they actually show Calendar Man be reborn, which is creepy, and it's a very different take on him, which I like, because Calendar Man, he's kind of not the biggest hero, but he's been involved with a lot, so it was kind of cool to see that. But basically, this is where we're going. It's going to have Duke as Batman's partner, and there's Batman, and he's here. So that's Batman. Next, we have Green Arrow Rebirth, #1. This one really surprised me. I haven't read a lot of Green Arrow. I loved the Arrow series for the first 2 seasons. Then I followed all the way through 3, watched the first 2 episodes of 4, and now I'm done. I can't do it. I mean, how long can you run a cheese grater across your face? But anyways, this was amazing. This was awesome. So apparently during the New 52, Oliver and Dinah Black Canary never met, and they haven't met throughout. Their relationship has been gone, and so this is basically setting up their relationship again, like it was before the New 52 happened. And one thing I really like about this book right off the bat is Oliver is living in Seattle, which is very interesting. I don't know if he's done that in the past. I haven't really thought a lot of Green Arrow, but that's a kind of a cool. He seems like the kind of guy who would be in Seattle, so I kind of like that. He's also, they really make a point that he's back to his social crusader liberal ways. He has the goatee again. So that's all really awesome. And basically this is just a little adventures that involves him meeting with Black Canary. It kind of all ends with them, solving this mystery of this mansion where these weird zombie-like creatures are. I don't even know, you can't really see it, but and that will probably tie into his arc, but it kind of is a little self-contained story with hints to the future at the end, especially when it comes to their relationship You get a few hints. Let me see if I can get a good shot here. A few hints of that going on. So this was a big surprise for me. I feel like Green Arrow has been kind of one of those hit and miss characters, especially with the New 52. And I feel like they're going back to his better stories, and they're really paying homage to that and adding a little bit of new stuff to it. So this was awesome. I really recommend this. I'm probably going to be picking up this series now, which I really wasn't expecting. And last we have Green Lanterns, with an S, Rebirth. This is basically setting up the new Green Lantern, Jessica Cruz, and her relationship, or basically who she is, and then her relationship with Simon Baz, who is the probably second newest Green Lantern, maybe. He was created by Jeff Johns as well. I never read anything with Simon Baz because it was always in the New 52, and I stopped reading Green Lantern after New 52 started. It just seemed to not be as good. I read from Rebirth to Brightest Day-ish, and then I kind of stopped. I picked this up just because I wanted to get them all. I'm going to get probably all of these just to make sure there isn't anything like Green Arrow now I will probably be picking up. But I did really like her in the Justice League book I read last week. She basically became a Lantern, sacrificing herself to save, I think it was Flash, and one of the best moments in the book. And so I'm really interested to see where she is headed. She basically is a new character, has a whole new clean slate. I know she probably has some backstory from before she was a Lantern, but I'm excited to see where it goes anyway. This was all right. Hal Jordan makes an appearance. He's going to have his own book coming down the line here, and it's basically just setting up the relationship between Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz, and how they're going to be kind of a team up throughout. The Manhunters show up and they fight, and there's a hint towards another element, maybe of a new ring. And basically, they are getting ready to, go on their journey together. And so this could be very interesting. It could also fizzle out and be pretty boring. I'm going to stick with it for a few issues once we get into the real series, just to see where it goes. If you like Green Lantern, this seems like it's going to be good. I love Green Lantern, but Green Lantern's kind of like Daredevil to me. The more I read after I've read the definitive stuff, it's just extra stuff for me. So it's not anything that really is gonna wow me or really make me go, man. And I'm sure there'll be something coming down the line that will do that. But Green Lantern's one of those I've had a good fill, and I'm really satisfied with where the characters have gone in it. So this is just extra stuff. But I'll be picking it up for sure for a little while at least, and I'll let you know if I end up dropping it. But so just to recap, Superman Rebirth. Number 1, I highly recommend this. I think Superman is getting the best fix out of everyone in the New 52 stuff. He's getting his stuff. He's getting a lot of the good parts of him back, and this is where it's going to be starting. So I highly recommend this. Batman, he's Batman. They haven't changed much with him. He's basically continuing what's been going on for years and years and years and years. And if you like Batman, this is always a good time to start, because it may want you to go back and read the other stuff. But nothing's really changed. There's a couple changes in who he's working with and stuff, but that's kind of always happening. We'll just get more Batman adventures, which is interesting so far. Green Arrow, this was the surprise hit for me. Very excited for this book. Really liked the changes they made. Really liked the new stuff they're adding, yet bringing back a lot of the old stuff that people love about the character. This is great. Pick this up. And Green Lantern Rebirth, definitely for people who have a taste in Green Lantern. There are some people who just don't really care for the characters or what. It's very space opera, very Silver Age. But if you're a Green Lantern fan, this is always a good time to jump onto that as well. We'll see where this goes. If you're looking for something a little more traditional, pick up Hal Jordan Green Lantern when that comes out. That's coming out later down the line. So that's the first set of issues for this single issue Rebirth stuff. Next week we have a lot more coming out. a lot of just starts of the actual series. Action Comics is coming out. I'm really excited for that. So next week I should, on Wednesday, be having the review out for you. I apologize that this one's late, and I apologize again for the quality. It will be fixed here shortly. So yeah, that's my first pull list officially. I hope you enjoyed it.